Longest suffering UK Covid-19 patient returns home after 141 days in hospital and 105 on ventilator. She described the pain she suffered from the ventilator as horrific. She said, "I wished I was dead at one point. It was so scary and terrifying. I wanted to scream out but I couldn't." As someone who has severe respiratory issues that has led to hospitalization, I cannot imagine what this woman went through. Not being able to breathe properly is terrifying, and to endure that for 5 months, is a nightmare I'd never want to live through. I hope she's able to lead a normal life after this, and that her respiratory issues have ceased. 105 days on a fucking ventilator? How does she still have lungs at this point? Imagine having to get a giant tube implanted right down your fucking throat for months just to leave and be told by some dumbass that the virus is just the flu. In the United States, the average cost for a night in the hospital equals $4,000. The average cost per day for being on a ventilator equals $2,300. So if she was in the US, she'd be getting a bill for $805,500. Amazing how half the comments on a post about a UK patient are talking about US healthcare costs. So happy she recovered, also so glad she won't have crippling debt just so she could live. It's nice to actually have some good news for once. In the US, he would survive and return home only to face a bill well in excess of $5 million for his treatment. She's going to continue to suffer from symptoms too. Welcome back from the brink, Fatima Bridal. On the off chance you're reading this comment section of Reddit, I hope you and your husband have a long and prosperous life together. It's just a flu. I can only imagine her health problems from here on in. So proud she won her fight. What a trooper. Wow, it's been 141 days. I must be the last person with COVID. It's probably already been eradicated or controlled by now. Imagine that hospital bill in the US. She is so brave. I won't stand that long. I will just ask to let me go. Wear the F mask, guys. I live in the US. My first thought was, I'd rather be dead after 3 days so I won't incur huge medical debt for my family. Sad but true. No way anyone could afford 141 days in the hospital. Damn, she looks so sympathetic, kind smile. This year is the worst, man. SMH. Lucky she's in the UK. If that happened in the US, bankrupt for life. And in some states, a person's children can be held responsible for the medical debt of a deceased parent. Keep America great. /S. In the US this care would equate to $973 x 10/21. They are a really nice looking couple. So happy they made it. ITT, non-medical professionals realizing why medical professionals facepalmed when dumbass world leaders were all COVID is fine, just manufacture more ventilators, it'll be fine. NBD. As wonderful as it is to recover, such a stay in the US would ruin you financially for the rest of your life. Imagine the cost of all that here in the States. Good thing it was the UK. The US bill would be in excess of $5 million. The worst part? You don't even know if I'm exaggerating or not. Horrifying. Total cost, $0. Total cost in the US, $2,512,375. Given a second chance. After so many months I have relatives that ignore the corona, they take it as a joke. Also they are saying it will affect only older persons. That's like a $5 million bill here in the States. Can you imagine the hospital bill for the stay in the good old USA? I wonder what a hospital bill for 141 days in a hospital and 105 on a ventilator would cost in the US. My dad is in the hospital for months now. I pray that he can get over the COVID too. If she was in the US she'd go home and kill herself after seeing the hospital bill. I could only fathom how much that would cost for an American to pay off. My guess is around 20 Mark Twains. As someone who has asthma attacks before, not being able to breathe properly is terrifying. Can't imagine hours of this, much less months. I would like to see her medical bill if she was treated in US. Preface, I'm a dumb American looking to understand this financially. In the US she would be absolutely financially ruined being in the hospital that long. What's the financial ramifications of that degree of hospitalization in the UK? That would be a hospital bill of $175.99 in freedom dollars. And not even financially bankrupt. Imagine the cost of 141 days in a US hospital. The worst thing about this is that anti-COVID people do not count her for their purposes. She has suffered for so long but she didn't die, so she doesn't matter to their statistics. Godspeed Fatima Bridal, I hope that was the last serious medical issue, you've seen enough of that. But the flu kills more people every year. But seriously, I'm so glad she's okay. What a horrible thing to go through, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, well, maybe a few people. That would be a $10 million bill here in America. There are a lot of hospital managers here upset about that missed opportunity. I'm glad she's okay. I wonder what kind of surprise medical bill she'll get in the mail in a few weeks. None. Her care was provided for through the UK's National Healthcare Service. That'd be a hefty bill in the US. What do you think 105 days on a ventilator would cost in the US? Probably enough to single-handedly make up that 30% drop in GDP. I was about to ask about the bill but then I remembered there are other places. Pensive face. I can only imagine how horrific that must be. Clicking on a Daily Mail link, I mean. Hopefully she lives her best life after this. Mad respect for going through that unimaginable pain. It's just a 2-week thing. Chuck Woolery said it's a hoax. So their lungs are FD, right? That long on a ventilator messes up your lungs, no. I wonder what the long-term effects will be. If this was the US you would owe money for the rest of your life. Even if you had insurance and the 100% coverage started you would owe tens of thousands by that time, at least with my crappy insurance from work. And she's only 35 years old. So much for a disease that only affects the elderly. I wonder what lasting physical effects it's had on her besides damage to her lungs. Several reports states recovered patients have had heart damage to lung bronchitis scarring. What kind of permanent damage has been done to her lungs, heart, and kidneys? God, that would be a $6 billion hospital bill in America. At least no. Great news, I wish her a speedy recovery. American conservatives. See, she recovered, what's the big deal? LOL. Liberal media trying to make everything seem so horrible. If she could survive 141 days then everyone can deal with this. 8% survival rate. Can you imagine what her hospital bill would be if she were in the US? Good thing she's not in America, she would be in the hole about $6 billion. Anyone denying the seriousness of this virus has simply lost all sense of reality. I'm very happy this poor woman is now on the mend. I hope she makes as good a recovery as she possibly can. The sad part is that there are countless people like her who became sick and experienced long-term or permanent organ damage, but because they didn't die and raised the official number of deaths, then ignorant people will continue to downplay this disease because it only kills 1% of the sick people. Just scrolling through threads in this makes me get chills about how much hell people have to go through. If this were in the US she would owe enough money to cover all our stimulus checks for the next 6 pandemics. Wild to think a UK resident was on a ventilator for 105 days, so she could show up Trump/s. Imagine if she was in US, after all that suffering they slap a bill for a few $1 million. Imagine the hospital bill. If she were in the US. So fucking young. At least she's not in America. Imagine how much that would cost. The real discussion will be the hospital bill. That kind of hospital stay in the US is at least 3 to 4 million. I'm glad she doesn't live in the US, she would have wished for death after the bill. Haven't lost your smile? Good luck. Worked it? If this was the US they could literally kill themselves now, preferably before the bill arrives. You can't pay that off in a lifetime.